I have a very specific way that I approach the visibility, my visibility, and that's how I feel is really, really effective way to monetize all your efforts. The way I share it with my clients, I call it building a castle. It feeds a little bit into my status as the queen of visibility that I was branded as back in 2018. As some of you know, especially if you bought my book, I really embody that queen archetype, which is actually one of my archetypes by Jung, and also my role archetype in my dressing, in my clothing. It's just so cool. So this is talking about leaning into more into the like your archetype, what's true to you. So building your castle, and this is what I'm going to go deeper in this book about. It's like how to build your castle. What are the elements? How to market it? What are the elements? What are you doing? And how to monetize it. But it's not all separate. This is all like a synergy. This is all this concept of having your own castle. My castle, my rules is something that we lead with, right? This is something that you're building because it's convenient to you. And I stress this. Sometimes I jokingly call my strategies selfish marketing. And it's not about being egotistic, but it's about creating it around yourself. If you type self in all caps, because then you are going to be not very likely, say, to sabotage yourself, and also you will have more motivation to be more disciplined, which is a huge problem for everybody, right? There's so little disciplined people in this world. Trust me on this. So we're all in the same boat here. One of the motivations behind this concept of building your own castle is how can you motivate yourself more? How can you be disciplined more? How can you prioritize when you are creative so you can create something of value, of true depth and value to those who, correct people who consume what you're creating? The castle is pretty much a place or a hub where somebody who finds you, and there's different ways they can find you. We can talk about this in monetizing or marketing, I should say, section. Anyone who finds you gets an experience that is designed to nurture the right people to resonate with you as an expert, as a thought leader, as an authority, and connect you and evoke a desire to have more access to your gifts, talents, expertise, pretty much access to you. So what it helps with is eliminating discovery calls where you have to explain what you do. It helps with creating more flow and nurturing those with lower level of knowledge about you. So somebody refers to one of my products, or, let's say my main product that I'm going to mention in this book, which is Marketing Blueprint by Design. And I'm laughing because I just completely forgot the name of my own product. But actually, I know why that happened. It happened because I am also here kind of talking about the whole building of the castle and how it works for me and my business. This is really, really unique to me and my design. So I want you to listen to this or read this book. And I want you to think, okay, so here's an example of how it can work. How can it work for me? Because that's the key. You're figuring out your way. There is no way that's going to work for you just because it works for another person, but you're figuring out your way. This is what my goal for you and my mission with everything I do pretty much, right? The castle is a platform, right? And of course, I'm referring to, a place. There's a lot of us are spending a lot of time on Facebook, Instagram, even YouTube. And one thing that I really discovered, like a big aha moment that happened to me, was when I was watching somebody's video. It was an expert that I really loved. I was really into them. I was in a rabbit hole of basically consuming all their content, but I was on YouTube. And I realized that my attention is constantly being interfered with by the suggestions on the sidebar. And in the suggestions, obviously, YouTube knows what I do, and when I'm I need a brain dump, what I binge on. And I could see all these entertaining videos or music videos or other stuff that was completely irrelevant. But because the corner of my eye, had this view of these suggestions, my brain didn't want to focus on what this expert was saying, no matter how I really thought that this is super valuable for me. And I realized that, oh my God, I cannot focus here. And one thing I don't want to do in my business and in my marketing specifically is I don't want to compete for attention. While I want obviously to attract people who need my vision and who need my assistance or to be inspired by me, right? I don't want to compete for attention. That's what we do on social media. That's what we do on those other platforms, because a platform is created so that you can stay on the platform. And so Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, they kind of play against you when you spend so much effort there. And that is a huge problem, right? You might ask me, okay, what about these platforms like, like membership platforms or like Mighty Networks or Circle, where, you have your logins and you can create this inner level community. And that's all beautiful if that's something that you're into. But there's a big problem with that. All those things, all the content that you're creating inside those communities is not discoverable. So you're literally shooting yourself in the foot and then saying, why can't I run? Because you've just shot yourself in the foot, because there is a problem with the way you can move, right? So if you close all your best content behind some sort of like a logging or paywall, how can people find you? And not just find you, how can people realize that you are the guide for them? You are the person that holds the key to something they're figuring out. You can't. So when I talk about build your castle, this is something that, think about, if you know a castle, maybe you live in an area where there is a castle or some big mansion. If you are driving past it, right, say you can see it on the hill or in the back, you can see it. And some of them even have accesses to them. You can go in, you can have a look around. But I think that if you don't charge for it and you just let people come in and see, and people say, wow, I've been to that place, it's so amazing, I love it, they will never forget it. I think that building your castle is slightly like this. Invite people into your world. Some of them will not be interested and they will leave. Some of them will stick around and look at every little thing, but they might not buy anything from you, and that's okay. And some of them will suddenly feel so connected to you that they will want more. And those are your ideal people. Those are your correct people. Now, of course, there is a question whether you can help them or not. And that's why we talk about funnels, in sales and marketing, where you have a lot of people coming in, and then, your processes and your platform, it filters the right ones. But if you can help them, and if they are a good fit, wow, you got yourself an ideal client. That's what this castle thing does, right? So when you are starting your business, it's really important to understand this, that when you give others an opportunity to look into your world, they might see something that is really, really important to them right now. Most of the people who start out businesses, or even people who have been in business for a long time, and maybe we're lucky enough because they have referrals, and whatever way it have been working for them, it's okay. But what they don't see is that their best content is not available. And so a lot of people who potentially are their ideal clients are just not, they're not given a chance to connect and resonate with the expert, with the way they see things, and have that thought like, oh my God, this is the person for me. That's the kind of thought every one of us have had when we're online, or we found someone, we start binging on their content, we are really into them, and then we start feeling, I need this person. This person holds the key. But I don't like when it's on social media, because the next post, cute puppy, and my brain switched off. Yes, I feel like a little bit, it's like passing by a beautiful train station, but the train didn't stop. And you're kind of like looking in the window and like, oh, I wish it stopped so I could go, and see, oh, look at this, sheep, cows in the field. And you're distracted. And that's what happens. So I believe that the platform needs to be your own website. And this is what I'm going to talk about in the part about building your castle, because the website allows people to discover you through searches. It allows those who discover you or that are referred to you or that came to your website through your activities, and we're going to cover that in the marketing and monetization parts. It allows those people to be nurtured so you don't have to do it live. There's so much content that is like rooms in your castle. You can have sections, like you might have a podcast, a blog, YouTube videos, but they're on your website. So if there is a distraction, a pop-up or something on a sidebar, it's a distraction with your either more content or your offers. The next step that they can take to get deeper into your inner circle. This is what I'm going to talk about as well. It's a really important way of looking at building this out. It takes a while to build the castle because, everything we do, let's say we create a beautiful article, this is a brick in the wall. It requires a lot of bricks to build a castle. So we can't attach expectations of results to every individual piece of content, no matter how amazing it feels. I wrote a book. Well, maybe I just created a beautiful, like a door with columns, like entrance. I just embellished my entrance in my castle. This is what my book did, but it's still only the way to enter it. What about if you enter through this door and there's nothing there? Not enough. So we can't attach expectations to each of the parts, but altogether it creates this beautiful experience that works on autopilot. And when we're talking about like passive income concepts or, making money in your sleep, all of these are myths, by the way. You need to apply effort in order to get some sort of return. But isn't it wonderful when you apply this effort consistently with your creativity and when you get into zones? And so that can then work when you are out of creativity and you're not in any zone. And that happens to all of us. We need digestion periods. We need rest periods, right? It's a very natural in a human cycle to just like do nothing, and recharge. So while you're recharging, that content that was created when you were on is still working. So that is how the business then becomes consistent, because you have consistent pieces. It becomes consistent in terms of attracting anyone who is searching, anyone who is actually ready to, get more into whatever you are offering. What I mean by that is that if I'm on social media and I see your post and you're selling something, I'm not there with an intention to buy. I am not there with an intention to be nurtured. I might just scroll by. But if I have an intention to find something out, to get help with something, to unblock myself from something, I'm going to go on Google or YouTube. I'm going to search for it. I'm going to make an effort to find you. You have the responsibility to be visible to me while I have this intention. So your castle is visible. It's like what I was saying. You're driving by the road, there's a castle. I was looking for a nice place. But the point is that it's there. It's seen. So you don't have to be there and hustle. The castle will do all the heavy lifting for you. Your castle is that visibility that sells access to you. So then you can show up. Does it make sense? To me, makes perfect sense. And that is my lived experience. And this is what I'm sharing with you in this book.